to you for questions. If you'd like to ask one of our panelists, you may do so, or you may address the whole group. When you ask your question, please introduce yourself before you ask it.
Hello, I'm Patrick Tucker, and in Germany, the drinking age is lower than in America, but the driving age is higher. But the difference between us and America is when you drink and drive in Germany, it's not a slap on the wrist, no one holds you in a holding cell and tell you to record later. It's a felony offense, and they take you to court then, you don't get bail or anything. I think if America did that, that'd solve one of the major problems with drunk driving. Do you agree?
Sprechen Sie Deutsch oder wollen Sie Deutsch? Okay. Well, I lived in Germany for a year and a half, so I'm very familiar with their drinking problem. And they do have one. And yes, it's true that children have access to alcohol over there, but it's nothing like in America. The German worker might take a beer break and drink a third of the beer with cheese and bread and put it away. If you're in a guest house, it's a very family-oriented place. It's not like our bars and taverns. It's very much a family gathering, conversation place. And a child might have something to drink, but they're not going to be able to use it or drink it. And that's changing. The German children, I was just over there 3 years ago. I lived over there about 38 years ago and went back a couple of years ago. And it's changing, it's getting more Americanized, and you're seeing more DWIs and more problems that are changing over there. So the old adage that the Germans have done responsibly, and it's not a big deal, it's not true. You give the alcohol to children, and you take away the adult supervision of them being right there with them, then you have significant drinking problems. You don't go to the Oktoberfest in Munich, and go to the German tent, not the tourist other country tents. Go to the German tent, and you'll see that there's a significant difference in the attitude. And they do have an increased child alcohol problem, and it's because they begin to mimic the way the Americans do.
Let me say something about what changes people's behavior. One of the things we know that does change people's behavior are tough consequences. And if all of you knew that if speeding, you're all driving, you're speeding 10 miles over the speed limit, you knew that if you got pulled over, you could lose your license for 6 months. Would that probably give you pause? I think for a lot of you, it would. You know, if our punishments were severe, again, I go back to that situation. You have 25-year-olds who have multiple DUIs, who has had all kinds of problems with alcohol in his or her life, and yet they can still go in and buy alcohol. There's got to be something wrong with our society that doesn't say, hey, we've had enough. You know, this is a privilege. You can use that privilege. Therefore, our community says you don't have access to it. So again, I think we need to reward responsible behavior, even if it's 18 years old. You know, I like a lot of things that the retired highway patrol officer said, but I think there are. One of the things I would take issue with is he said that there's an oxymoron to say that anybody under 21 can't be responsible for drinking. I think what he said. Okay. I don't agree. I've been on college campuses for 30 years. I've seen a lot of students under 21 who know when to say when, who can drink socially, who don't use alcohol, who can stop after one, and to again, I think it's an individual thing. As soon as you say everybody under 21 or everybody under 18, you've got problems. Because even within this group here, we have different levels of maturity, different levels of decision-making, different levels of knowledge. And how do we reward those of you who have been responsible? How do we say that you are mature, you are responsible, we're going to give you this privilege because you earned it? But remember, if you mess up, the privilege gets taken away from you.
Thank you, Patrick, for raising that question about European socializing of drinking and mentioning the penalty. Because that's where we're at now, is that with the blanket law, you penalize everyone for the bad behavior of a few. And what we need to do is hold those who actually cause harm to other people with their property accountable, rather than penalize everyone. And you need to allow those who are responsible to conduct themselves responsibly and participate.
I don't see that as bad behavior. I see that as predictable behavior. The impairments there. The one that was a coarse judge of what they're going to be is one who's drinking. There's a video out about two guys hitting bars in the early 20s. They come out and one guy said, "I've had too much to drink, and you need to drive." The other guy said, "Yeah, you're right. I can see you're impaired, I'm man and alcohol, fine." And they take the keys, drives. This driver crashes, kills the passenger. His BAC was .06. The driver was .11. It was just the opposite of what they thought. The 300 people that I drank in the lab, stand up so maybe the back people can see me. The 300 people I drank in the controlled drinking in the academy, I played a little game with. You tell me when you should give me the keys to your car that you don't feel safe to drive. And it was very late because it's only granted you would drive for 24 hours. So they said, okay. 80% of those 300 gave them to me before .02 or 03. 100% of the 300 drinkers gave it to me by .05. And then I drank them on up to .08, .12, .14, where we going to drink and test them for the students and recruits. And then as they started back down, I said, you tell me when you want your keys back. They wanted their keys back and thought they were safe to drive 2 to 5 times higher than when they gave them up. One of them was a dear friend of mine. She was a chemist. And she said, I just got out of college and I did some research, and they call it empirical research when you self-intoxicate and have fun with it. And she said, I just got out of college, I partied, I know alcohol, I'm a chemist, I'm going to beat your game. And when she came down, she wanted her keys back. I said, here's a hint, lay down. She said, put in the breathalyzer, I'm going to do 0-0, double optical. And I said, no, you won't. She insisted. She took the breathalyzer, she's a .07. She gave me the keys at .02. 3 times higher. I don't know where they're trying to get that it's bad behavior. It's predictable biology. If you are in an impaired state and then say, okay, now you make a good judgment, that is an oxymoron. Once you impair your ability to make good judgments, and then they say, you decide, these are 300 people of different ages, different experience, and they could predict where they were being impaired. And by the way, the .08 law doesn't care how well you look like you handle it, you're intoxicated. So there are arbitrary levels that just say, no one should be above this limit. And the American Medical Association recommends a .05 drinking impairment needed. So a lot of people, the experts in the field, believe that .08 is too high.